welcome back to another episode of the Bad Millennial Podcast. And I have Jackie again.
Hello, everyone.
So when you guys see Jackie, you should probably know by now that means we have to talk about HBO's biggest show right now, House of the Dragon. So when we left off with you guys, we were like reviewing episodes 1 through 3, anxiously awaiting the rest of the 4, and wow, were we served a bunch from Westeros. So let's just dive right in, because we have many opinions. Would you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So episode 4, season 2, episode 4 is The Red Dragon and the Gold, which is basically like after the big, amazing dragon fight, is King Aegon dead? We know the dragon exploded among impacts. So it's kind of seeing the aftermath of that. And we see that Aegon is alive, but basically a crisp. Aemond is evil as ever. Daemon is still deep in his delusions at the castle. And Rhaenyra's whole council is just completely doubting her, falling apart, all confused, and also pissed that Rhaenyra's, the queen who never was, is dead. So we have a lot of people just soul searching right now and not knowing what to do. We also have our least favorite character, Sir Kristen Cole, who's just kind of oh, okay, so that's what dragons do. This war will not be won with dragons alone, but also dragons and armies of men. But Kristen Cole is basically, I don't know what to do with my life. So how are we feeling about the aftermath of that epic dragon fight and all that takes place? And everyone's just scrambling right now.
Yeah, I think overall everyone's like, oh shit, that's what a war with dragons looks like. And they're trying to grapple with what do we do now? Also, the king is burnt to a crisp, but not quite dead. Who should be regent? Alicent wants to be regent since she was regent while her husband was sick. But everyone thinks that Prince Aemond should instead take over as regent. But she's like, wait, no, he's a little crazy. Maybe we shouldn't do that. But, misogyny. So they're like, oh, yes, he's the heir. He should also be regent. Even though he definitely tried to barbecue his brother so that he would be able to take over.
Yeah, it's Alicent is realizing in real time that all of her decisions up to this point were basically either bad or meant nothing. Because it's patriarchy at its best. He's a man. We need a man in charge, period. Even though Sir Kristen Cole and most of the council at the Greens knows that Aemon most likely has something to do with Aegon's and his dragon's demise. It's obvious. The dude just comes in seeming so slimy and creepy, and it's well, we're terrified of him, so we have to do what he says. And the whole Alicent really is in a huge spiral. She's so my experience means nothing. My advice means nothing. All my sacrifices, nothing. And it's at that moment, I think that Alicent realizes that all that she's been striving for and working towards is kind of out of her hands now. Especially with her dad being gone, she has no control and no allies, except I guess the princess. She's kind of in her own dream world at this point. But yeah, I wasn't surprised, to be honest, that all the guys were gonna just be because Aemond is terrifying. Even if he wasn't a man, if he was just a terrified woman, I think they would still be on his side because of the power that he holds, especially having the oldest, biggest dragon in all the land, and then technically taking out 2 dragons. That's badass. If you want power and you want to win a war, you're gonna pick with a guy who will stop at nothing, even killing his own brother, to get what he needs. So that was wild. But really good drama to start. I definitely have to say. Um, I think that it's interesting that whole episode was really showing like the power dynamics within relationships because even though Allison was the mother, and Queen Regent and all of that, it really is interesting seeing the children kind of usurp her and also ignore her advice, which is always bad. Like in House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, every time they ignore their elders' advice, shit goes left, like all the time. So I don't know why this is. I mean, I guess they're technically before Game of Thrones, so they don't really have experience, but like it's still crazy. And then over in Rhaenyra's house, her son is just doubting everything that she's trying to do. He's like, okay, we need more dragons because my council won't let me go fight, because one, if I die, then the whole thing, there's no point in us trying to fight for a throne. Um, you're a bastard, so they're really not going to really get behind you. But also, they won't let me fight in this war or lead this war without Daemon, which is I thought interesting, the council just being like, we pledge our allegiance to Rhaenyra, but we take Daemon more seriously. And it's like, can we talk about Daemon just being in that council and having all these? I mean, we probably touched on it before, but the longer he has these delusions and dreams, even though I understand the writer trying to set us up for something and give us a whole journey, I'm just like, this is the episode where he dreamed of cutting off Rhaenyra's head as a kid, right?
Yeah, I think it was this one.
Yeah, and I guess it was interesting to see that the demons from his past are coming up. And in a way, it's kind of showing us that this is what Damon's wrestling with this entire time. Like, even though he went to the Castle Harrenhal for like one mission to gather support and an army for Rhaenyra, it really shows like he needs therapy.
I think all of Westeros needs therapy in both Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. I think a lot could be solved without all these wars if everyone just went to therapy.
Yes, like Allison had her dad to like kind of pitch things off of, and Rhaenyra had Rhaenys. That was her guiding light. And now these people don't have anyone to talk to, and it's like anytime you don't go after your past demons, there's no way moving forward. And that's kind of what they're setting up with Daemon here. He is powerful and should have by now been with Rhaenyra with his army, in my opinion. But because he's just so wrestling with the demons of his brother passing, him not being really there for that, and also like being super jealous over Rhaenyra being named queen by his brother, and just his demons of, well, I am technically gathering an army right now. I could also like have a bone in this fight to take over and kill Rhaenyra and kill Aemond. I mean, I think honestly, Daemon versus Aemond would be the most sick, epic dragon fight and personalities ever. But
you might see that.
What? Am I predicting again? I don't know. To be honest, I haven't read the book yet. I'm still currently right now. I'm just deep into the Game of Thrones books. If you guys are checking my Instagrams, you should know that I bought all of the Game of Thrones hardcovers, books 1 through 4. So I'm into that. But oh my gosh, really? I think that makes sense if he's gonna fight with Rhaenyra. So, but yeah, what were your thoughts on Rhaenyra's kind of choices in this episode of like, you know what? I don't know if I can trust Daemon. I'm gonna trust my Miss Sarah, Queen of Whispers, and this over. I can't trust Daemon anymore. Like he's MIA. I'm being Raven saying that he's probably a traitor. Like, and
yeah. I mean, honestly, if I was, I wouldn't trust Daemon at this point. Like he's always been, and she, I think, figured this out like a few episodes back that he's very self-serving. would I trust Messira? I mean,
She did have
probably.
expertise with Damon before, so like she knows him almost as well as Rhaenyra does at this point. So
Yeah. And it seems like Messira has been working in Rhaenyra's best interest. I believe it's the next episode they send food to King's Landing to win the loyalty of the people. And like all of Messira's information has been good. I think it's also the next episode or maybe the following one that she's able to find, I guess we're jumping a little forward, like all the bastard Targaryens to see if they can become dragon riders. So she does prove herself to be trustworthy, but I wouldn't have trusted her like going into this.
she does seem to have a lot of good instincts, and I think you can take someone's advice without having to trust them, because
That's
in the
true.
end, this is all about power and trying to, I mean, I guess in Rhaenyra's eyes, right the wrongs because she was named the actual successor, but Miss Sarah's always going to look out for herself. And right now, it just so happens that Rhaenyra being queen would benefit her more than the Greens taking, well, I guess the Greens keeping their stuff. So, but yeah, no, you're right with like Miss Sarah's like actions so far continue to make everything better for her. Like this is where we see the tides turning. Like episode five, Regent is really when the Greens are just like freaking out over the council, like who's gonna be the king in charge right now. And oh yeah, Regent is like showing how the Greens are weakened basically. And there's so many bad omens and things that are just like going crazy. Um, Jaceres. Oh, that's Jace. That's right. Jace is like, I don't believe that we can just go out and get bastards to ride dragons. Because in Jaceres' heart of hearts, Jaceres is Rhaenyra's son, by the way. He's like, if anyone can ride a dragon, then I'm nothing. I'm just used. And this is where it actually made me pissed off at Jaceres as part of Team Black because he annoys me so much. He just reminds me of this one spoiled child that has everything, wants for nothing, but still wants to make a problem out of it.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think he feels very defensive because he's a bastard, and like, where does that kind of leave him as far as succession and that kind of stuff, since it's kind of an open secret that he is a bastard. So I think he's dealing with all that, but it's like, dude, you guys really need more dragon riders if you want to win against the Greens. Like, Rhaenyra's making the right call here to try to find dragon riders any way she can.
like, and that's the point, really. You need numbers. At this point, honor and the bloodlines and the pedigrees out the window. If you have people, not only armies swearing their fate to Rhaenyra, but also people who ride dragons, that's a benefit to you. Like, even his cousin was like, okay, pouting doesn't suit you. You're a prince. No one's going to take that away from you. Okay? You just have to get along and fight for the crown. That's all. Everyone's on the same team. But it is interesting all the ways how this episode has been so chaotic with just trying to find someone in the bloodline to get a dragon. And I thought I was actually really excited at this point. Like she's looking through the scroll, and she's like, "Oh, this person likes this person, and this person had a bastard," and bringing all those people. But then the dragons again, they're dragons. They're not going to follow your rules and go with what you think is logical. So seeing them all get lit on fire was sad, but also awesome. Because it's so like reminiscent of Game of Thrones. Like there's always violence and fire and craziness happening, but it still moves the plot point and makes a point that the dragons are in charge, man. Like,
Yeah, I love that Rhaenyra, she just kind of like steps out there and she's like, okay, let's do this, and walks away, and then there's just like a wall of fire.
Hey, so cool. And I love the behind the scenes on these parts where they're just showing how like they put all this like gel and like prosthetics on the people. And like it's real flames. Like they are not CGIing the flames at all.
Oh, that's so
They're just
cool.
yeah, like they have real flamethrowers coming at these people and setting people on fire for real. So it's like even more
Wow.
crazy and terrifying. Yeah, you have to watch it's called The House That Dragons Built. It's another series on HBO where they show the actual behind the scenes of not only the writing but also like the effects and all of that. Like it's
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
have to watch
amazing.
that.
Yes, you do because it's just like, are you kidding me? The lengths that people take to make an epic show, visually, chef's kiss. Like you can't beat this. Like I might hate the way the plot and some of the writing goes, but they go down for their dragons. Like they do it full on. So love it. So okay, we've also got Damon. I mean, he's just recruiting people again. I think it was the Brackens and just trying to get more people onto his side, which I guess is also Rhaenyra's side. At this point, we're still kind of doubting that Damon's in it for good reasons. Um, but at this point, it keeps turning. It keeps going from Team Black to Team Green, like who's on top.
Episode 6, they tried to get the Kingsguard Knight to be a dragon rider. Then they find out like
Oh,
that
small
doesn't work.
folk. Okay.
Yeah, and then Adam, who is Sir Collis's son, he becomes a dragon rider because after the Knights of the Queensguard gets blown up, Sea Smoke the dragon flies off, finds Adam, and then Adam becomes a dragon rider, and that's what leads Rhaenyra to be like, oh, the bastards could be dragon riders.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Which to me, it wouldn't be as obvious, but also when you think about it, like Jace is technically a bastard and riding a dragon.
Yeah.
Like that maybe might not have been like the first thought coming to my head, but it should have been like on top of their list. Like, okay, not just people related directly, like that night, although honorable death. Have that we're realizing that, you know, bastards have more blood, Targaryen blood in them than, you know, a knight that's kind of straight down the timeline, which is interesting. But honorable death for him, you know, like he tried and he was very much Team Rhaenyra, and hey, you gotta take one from the team, dude. I'm sorry, you're dealing with dragons, man. Like, like yes, you expect to ride on them. So close.
So close.
I was actually falling for it. I thought he was going to actually be able to at least pet the dragon. You know, like she was giving her little let me sniff you and everything, but lit on fire. But anyway, Rhaenyra finally figures out that's the bastards because this is where you said King Corlys is bastards. Which is interesting by that I'm just thinking back to when Rhaenys was like, you look so handsome or whatever. So she like actually
Oh yeah, she knew.
his
She
DNA.
guessed.
Okay. Interesting. So I guess King Corlys was just out to sea at war at some point and then thought he was gonna die and then was just like populating the planet.
I guess they didn't really say like who their mother was or like really give a whole lot of details there.
Yeah, but I guess if you have one Targaryen bloodline, then it's strong enough. And it is more direct, I guess, than like your great 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 grandpa was Targaryen versus your dad.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this makes sense with Adam and Alan. Which is interesting. These guys are so different. Both bastards and not acknowledged by their father and like kind of raised on the sea. One, the oldest, which I heard that the birth order is different from the books, but in the series, the TV show, the oldest is very much like, I don't care. I have had to watch this man sit on a throne and eat the best while I was like starving and searching for scraps. So I don't need anything from him. I don't even want to acknowledge him. Whereas youngest is very much eager for something greater than just being a deckhand. And so I found that juxtaposition interesting between the siblings who were literally raised the same, but just like feel totally differently about their bloodline. Like, which kind of makes sense when you find out who actually gets the dragon.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like both of those point of views honestly make a lot of sense. And yeah, I'm glad that the one who wanted acknowledgement got to be a dragon rider. I don't know if he will get more than like a well done from his dad, like he already got. But like, I mean, if I had a dragon, I'd be really happy. So that's better than acknowledgement from your dad.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the biggest like good job Alan is ever gonna get. Um, no wait, is it Adam? Oh God, why did they do this to me with the
Yeah,
names?
Adam. Yeah, Adam is the dragon rider. Alan
Adam.
is the sea hand.
Adam. Okay, got it. And that it was really kind of beautiful how the dragon was actually chasing him. Like
Yeah,
in
he was
the
like,
in the
I want to be
forest.
best friends. I know
Like
I just
they're
burnt a guy, but you're my bestie.
like hunting him down basically. And again, I'm gonna like recommend everybody watch the House of Dragons build because they showcase him. He actually did all of his own stunts, running through and like hopping over things and everything, and then the dragon coming in. It's just like blue people like holding a dragon head coming after him, but he's so sweet. Like as an actor and as a character, it's just like yes, he won his father's attention, but he did not expect to get the attention of a dragon. Like what? Like, and it's beautiful because it also kind of gives him a new type of confidence. Like before his dad didn't even acknowledge him. I didn't even realize he was a brother in the beginning. Just seeing him, I thought he was just another deckhand or whatever. And I thought the oldest, Alan, was actually just Corliss's bastard. So him actually surprisingly coming to the main stage and like, you are worthy enough of a dragon to chase you. That is amazing. And I hope, honestly, I want him to be a prince or something because he has that humility of small folk, and I think he's probably going to be our best dragon rider yet. Just to be humble, kind of like Rhaenyra is, even though you're, the rightful queen, like even Rhaenyra still has like humble takes and listens to people like Mysteria and me. Like small folk are more important than you think. And now we see why they're so important. So, and that gives us the coolest scene of Rhaenyra realizing that hearing that someone just claimed a dragon, and they're on that beach, and that wide shot of them with their dragons and her. Oh,
It was so good.
I need them to win an award for that. That was beautiful. I've never been so into cinematography until that moment. Gorgeous. But props to him for like not wanting to actually just fight her and be like, I have a dragon now. Like he is again that humble small folk beginning of, you know what, I serve you. This dragon came to me, but I am still going to serve you, ma'am. My father is terrible and I hate him. Well, actually he doesn't hate him. He actually like wants his love, but yeah, that is where Team Black, top tier moment for Team Black right there. I love that. What do you think of the other two dragon rider bastards who like surprise us?
Yeah. So I feel like let's see, what is the name of the blacksmith? I can never remember his name.
The one whose daughter was sick.
Yeah,
Is
and
it?
then died. I think is it Hugh, I think?
I'm gonna call him Thor. To be honest,
He does look kind of like Thor. But yeah, he's like very much like what I'd expect of a dragon rider. He definitely, the bearing and the way he carries himself reminds me a lot of like the lords in the series. And then you have Ulf the White, who is not what you'd expect of a dragon rider at all. He is a coward, like he's very happy to tell everyone in the tavern that, oh yeah, I have Targaryen blood, like give me drinks, but was very hesitant to go and see if he could claim a dragon. And then like, I think it might be the episode after this, but he's talking to Jace, who is the prince, and he's just it was very funny. It was very funny, but he was being so rude. And I was just like, oh my God, that's not how you talk to a prince.
It's so amazing. It was so amazing.
He's just such a wild card that I would not be very happy if I was Rhaenyra and being like, oh shit, this is one of our dragon riders. Like, and he, not that this was particularly his fault because he gets on a dragon, then the dragon takes him to King's Landing, and Aemond is like, what's going on here? Let's light some. Then Aemond decides to go all Daenerys in the last season and lights King's Landing on fire trying to get him.
Like, what? It's insane. I mean, before we even get to that part of Aemond just losing it, I find it really sneaky and smart of the writers to actually show us the backstory, the journey of Ulf and Hugh. Hugh is he looks like Thor. He looks very noble and stuff, but he really just wants to take care of his family, make sure his daughter gets food and all of that. And really isn't like, he knows of his ancestry. Like he knows that I think it was his mother was Targaryen or something, but he's not like actively trying to go to the throne. He's just trying to survive. Meanwhile, Ulf is just this goofy, I guess he's kind of a drunkard, but he just happens to be in pubs all the time. He's all talk and no like action at all. So it's very interesting how, again, it's like the differences in people doesn't really matter when you're meant for greater things, like with Hugh, everyone would try to, get the dragon. They have all these bastards just taken to Rhaenyra's castle and just like, okay, so you're going to stand here and she's going to pick one of you, okay? The dragon's just like, was it Vermithor? I think it just light everyone on fire. And Hugh just like, oh my God. And even in that, like, terrifying instance, he's still trying to save someone else from getting killed by the dragon. So he's still honorable and noble and just like very small folk minded of, you know what, this was a bad decision. I want to do it for the queen, but I'm still going to be a protector. And when he basically barks at the dragon, like, what you got? Come on, give it to me. The dragon respects that. The dragon respects his personality, who he is, very much so. And, dragon's like, okay, fine, you can ride me. Whereas Ulf is one of the many bastards who just runs away, gets scared, and then he gets lost like an idiot. And again, like we said, he's all talk, but there's no gumption or nothing. So he's literally pissing his pants when another dragon finds him, what's the other one? Silverwing?
Yeah, that's Silverwing.
Silverwing. Sweet Silverwing. She likes it when people are afraid of her. Like, I love she made him piss his pants and was like, you know what? You're cowering right now. Okay, I'll take you. Like, I love that Silverwing's like, you know what? No one can control me, and I want the weakest Targaryen on my back because I'm going to be making the decisions here. And flying over King's Landing. Like that was the worst decision ever. But I fully blame Ulf for not realizing the complications of everything because he's not of noble blood. Like, even him talking to Jace, like, Jace the regular small folk, is like, you have no class. No, you can't even pretend. He doesn't know how to be noble, which, I mean, it makes sense. But it's like, wow. The dinner scene with him just stuffing all of the little birds. I want a little bird. Another little bird. It's fast. And just being like, You guys can't take a joke. And like, it was beautiful because I wanted Jace to have someone talk to him straight, you know, like, and Jace is just like, all when they're like, all these bastards, they don't mean anything, and like, you don't talk to your queen that way. Whereas Rhaenyra, it shows Rhaenyra's maturity and realizing the bigger picture. I need to win. I don't care if this guy's gonna streak butt naked around. I need him to ride this dragon and be on my team. Beggars can't be choosers, right?
Yep.
So,
yep.
Epic. But of course, these new dragons drive Aemon crazy. So he ends up, I guess, around like episode 7.
Yeah, I think that's the end of episode 7 that Ulf
episode 7.
takes a joyride to King's Landing, and then Aemon sees a dragon, goes after the dragon, and accidentally burns half of King's Landing to the ground. Like, Allison, what's wrong with your children?
Wait, is he burning King's Landing, or just I thought it was a random town that we've never heard of.
Yeah, or at least I thought it was King's Landing, but maybe it was another place.
It was Sharp Point. Is that part of King's Landing?
Oh, okay. Maybe that was a different town then. I think I just saw like the shot of King's Landing. I thought it was King's Landing.
I think Ulf flew over King's Landing and Aemon saw, and then he went to Rhaenyra and saw that there was 3 dragons posted up behind her and was like, okay, never mind. And then the next episode, everyone says that he just went and burnt down the town of Sharp Point.
Oh, okay. That must have been a different place.
Which apparently was also like on Team Black, like the town of Sharp Point. So I guess technically it was strategic and half madness. Like, they were people who were for Rhaenyra, but also, dude, you can't just be killing small folk. Like, because you're mad. But it's like, what do we expect? Aemon is unleashed at this point. Alicent's off the castle. The council has voted Aemon to be the king regent. Aemon's already terrified Aegon in his bed. The Master of Whispers is like, Aegon, dude, you need to get strong now because your brother is going to kill you.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Bad Millennial. If you like this episode, make sure to leave a rating and a review and subscribe so you never miss an episode.